Welcome to the Soul Elevation Podcast, guiding your ascension to new heights. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin. In today's episode, I am going to share something that is deeply personal for me, um, and something that I am excited about. I'm equal parts excited, nervous, scared, impatient. There are all kinds of things that go with this decision that I've made, including the decision to share about it at this point. I've been very back and forth about how to handle um, the coming months in terms of how to approach it. Um, but my announcement is that I am going to stop coloring my hair. I'm going to be going gray. I already am gray. I don't know how gray I am because I color my hair frequently, but I am going to let it grow out. And I'm really excited about this. And it's something that I've wanted to do for so long, but it is a process. It does take time to do. So I have been putting it off, and I haven't been sure if I was really ready to go gray. Um, and so I've put a lot of thought into it. I've been thinking about it for a long, long time, and I really feel like I am ready to do that. So I have been coloring my hair since I don't even know, like between 10 and 15 years. I started coloring my hair really early when it started going gray. I didn't ha I looking back, I could have waited a lot longer. I didn't really give my hair a lot of chance to begin the process before I started coloring, and this was way before my spiritual awakening. I didn't even think about it. It was just I knew because of my mom's trajectory that she went gray kind of early and always colored her hair. Everybody I knew colored their hair when they went gray. So at the very first sign, I went and started coloring my hair. And so now, I can see when the roots start to come in. I can see that I have a lot more gray than I did when I first began, but it only grows out like an inch or an inch and a half, and then I color it again. So I don't really have a great sense of just how striking it is. But but it is a process. I've been looking into it. I know that it is something that obviously it takes a long time. We all know that our hair takes a long time to grow. There are a lot of different approaches to it. But because I am on camera a decent amount, I have been trying to figure out what's the quote unquote right way. Of course, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but I, it's kinda like, do I try to hide it for as long as I can? And I think that I will. I mean, I cover my grays anyway, and I know that there's this awkward stage when it's growing out, so I imagine that there's, like, powder or, like a wax stick and things like that that you can use to help you kinda get more out of your coloring to cover the roots. So I think I'll still be using things like that. I don't necessarily want to draw a lot of attention to it, but I'm wanting to temper that with not wanting to seem like I'm embarrassed about it or ashamed of it. So it's this delicate balance, and the root of it is really wanting to be my most authentic self. And when I think of like the highest version of myself, so if we think of ourselves across timelines and that we exist on many timelines, and that there is a highest version of ourselves. So we can think about that from a frequency standpoint, the highest frequency version of ourselves. and that version of us exists, and we just may not be on the timeline right now that is experiencing that version of us. And that we can it can really, that can be a mind-bending exercise to think of multiple versions of ourselves, multiple, universes, but it does make sense that everything is existing on a spectrum of energy, and that we have different energy spectrums, and we are only focused on one expression of that at a time. But when I think of my highest expression, I think that I don't see her coloring her hair to hide gray hair. And I don't know that it's really fair to say that I'm trying to hide my gray hair, because it's really more of, this is just the pattern that I've fallen into, and it's a lot in some senses, it's a lot easier to just keep touching up my roots than to have the whole process, because there is like a whole psychological element to it, to kind of coming into the the transition when your hair is dark, and then, well, when you're coloring it dark, because this is like as my natural color as I remember it before I went gray. Um, but it's a whole process to it, and again, it doesn't have to be. There are women who just do it and they just go with it. And I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. I think there will be kind of a transition time where I am doing some blending or something to blend the grays in. But it is this opportunity to step into the most authentic version of myself, and the highest vibration, um, because that version of me is brave and is, um, wants to radiate the truth of who I am, whether that is, a woman with gray hair or whatever it may be. We just, the truth is that we live in a society that doesn't really, it doesn't really encourage women necessarily to embrace the aging process. And so you do have to kind of be ready to go against the grain, and to be strong and to be brave and to go forward, knowing that the expectations are that you'll conform to what everybody else is doing, to denying that you're aging. And it's been easier for me to kind of go on that track. So for me to kind of jump tracks now and say, okay, I'm going to embrace the gray. I'm going to go and really lean into that. Um, it's just been there's been a mindset shift that has had to happen, and that will continue to happen. But I do feel that I will look back in, a year's time when I'm closer to the end. I think it'll take about 2 years. Um, but I I can envision that once I get through the really awkward part of it, which is probably the first 6 to 10 months, I would think would be the real, well, maybe even 3 to 10 months. I don't know, maybe the whole time. But I think that I will have wished that I did this sooner. That's my expectation. That's my If I project myself into the future and I'm on the other side of this portal of transitioning to gray, I think that I will have wished that I did it sooner. But I did want to share this with everybody, because I am on camera, and so there will come a point where I will start to look different, and there are different ways to kind of hide it, and I could go that route. And again, I probably will be doing some things to not make it too obvious, but I really want to lean into it, and because it's a big transition for me, And everybody goes through big transitions, whether it's something like this that people can see on the outside, um, or whether it's something that's going on inside of us. I know that if you have been drawn to the content on my channel, you know what a personal transformation is. You are undergoing a personal transformation, but it's not so much on the outside. It's an inner journey, and there may be choices that you are making that have to go against the grain of your family or your friends, your peers, your work, whatever it might be, and it has its challenges, and it makes you confront within yourself what your fears are and what your values are and who's the most important one to you. Who are you making these decisions for? Is it for your coworkers, for your friends, for your family? Do you want to live your life so that they feel comfortable with how you're living your life? Or do you want to get into the point where what you want is paramount and you're going to go for it and live the life that you came here to live? And so that's really what's behind this decision. I want to stop coloring my hair. I want to transition to gray. I know it's not going to be easy, but we can do hard things and we can transform. And that's part of the opportunity that we're given here in the physical. So thank you for being on this journey with me. And I'll keep you posted. You know, obviously the content of this channel is not about hair color. This it's really just sharing it from the transition part. But I'm sure I'll have updates as I go along. But you know, content isn't going to be changing. And what will be interesting too is that I have a big backlog on my interviews. I have interviews that I've recorded, like that they take like 6 months a lot of times to be released. So it might be funny. I might at least find it kind of funny that like the live streams, you might notice a change faster, and then you may watch one of the interviews, and I am have a completely different hairstyle, hair color, or whatever. So will just it will be a surprise every time I have a video. Which hair is Kara gonna have today? So anyway, well, thank you so much for being here, for watching this, whether you're with me live or if you're watching or listening to the recording. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed week ahead. Many, many blessings.